Good evening, everybody. Good evening. Hope everybody's having a good day. Trying to get my stuff right. Come on in. Today, I have something to share with you. And then from the title, you can tell the cost of adult living. These are for my young kiddos, my young teenagers out there that want to be an adult. You want to be grown. Let me give you some stuff that I learned. Let me pass it back. That's all I'm doing. I'm not saying you can't do it. I just want to give you some things to think about because the key is, can I be an adult that lives on my own without having to depend on another person? So I don't have to put myself in situations and have to worry about compromising or being in awkward situations. So, what does it look like? Can I afford to live on my own? Let's get into it. Can I afford to live on my own? Once again, thanks for watching. Like, share, and subscribe. We're available on all platforms. Comment. Let us know what you would like to hear us talk about. Thank you for everybody who's been supporting. And we about to get right into it. So this is for any person that wants to know why elevating your skills to increase value on the job market is important. I want to bring awareness to what a budget looks like and how to stay within your budget and give our youth insight on why post development in education is important as an adult. You can't skip it. You can try to skip it, but you're going to find out it's going to be tough. A tough road to go down when you don't have to go down that road. Some people like the tough road. I went down the tough road, and I'm just telling you from experience, it's a tough road to experience. And a lot of times people get emotional about it. But at the end of the day, you have to be accountable. If I would have took care of business ahead of time, I would be further along than I am now. Just being accountable, not beating myself up. So with that being said, one thing to think about is, can I buy this and still have a comfortable budget? Let me know in the comments. Comfortable budget. A lot of times when you're an adult, you get freedom and you don't realize freedom costs. Every decision is going to cost you something if you don't make a good decision. A good decision will bring you good rewards. A bad decision is going to cost you something. And you have to ask yourself this: if I buy this, will this affect my budget? Or do I have enough to buy this and it won't affect nothing? I can still pay my bills. When I was young, it took me some time to get to this point. I would do crazy stuff. I would buy Jordans. I would instead of, before I pay bills, go buy some Jordans or something when they come out. Do all kind of little crazy stuff. But I'm telling you, this is one of the number one things you got to ask yourself. It got to be like a microchip. If I buy this, is this going to affect my budget or the budget, depending on what situation you're in? So let's look at this. I'm gonna zoom in real quick. According, let me take this sticker off real quick. Give me 1 second, guys. Sorry about that. Before I get into it. So, according to the Fred data, the average single person salary according to the Fred data household income is $61,344. But this is more of a combined income. It's two people together making 61,000. That's what this graph is saying. This is the average for Pulaski County, Arkansas household. That means two people. So we're gonna break that up. How the average is calculated and determined. This is important as an adult. This is very important. This is why education and development is very important. Dividing the total wages earned in the county by the total of workers or by multiplying the average hourly wage by the number of hours worked in a year, which is 2,080. So let's take the average household and divide that by 2. 61,344 divided by 2 is $30,672. So according to the Fred data, according to that graph, let's go back up. 2 people together making $30,672. That's what the average, not everybody's making that, the average household income. Reason why I want to get you to understand this is community that you live in will be based on what the average person is making. There are a few people that are outliers, but the average is a group of people, and you find out the average based on a group of people. And I'm telling you from experience that if you don't develop yourself past a high school diploma, you can find yourself in this area of average. It's not fun. We're gonna talk about it. It's not fun. It may think 30,000 is cool. We're gonna talk about it though. Some words to think about before we start. Impulse. Buying stuff off of impulse. Oh, let me go back up. I'm sorry. Yeah, buying stuff off of impulse. Impulse buy. You just I gotta have it. Sometimes you don't gotta have it. You just have to get to that point before you can buy it. And sometimes you just buy it because it's just something you want. It's not it's not something that you need, but the impulse of it, you feel like you gotta have it. And whether it's food, whether it's clothes, whether it's something, you might be, you don't need to buy it, but you might be riding by McDonald's like, I just want an apple pie. I don't even know why. I just want it. Impulse. Having foresight, being able to see ahead. Foresight is something that I think, especially for men, when you're a leader, you got to have foresight. You got to be able to see as far as you can of what's coming, what to prepare for, and how to counter what's coming through foresight and forecast. Same thing. Foresight is having the wisdom to be able to deal with what you see that's coming. You can kind of prepare for it. Like if you see the economy kind of going crazy, maybe I need to cook more at home. So in order to cook more at home, do I need to get a grill? Or do I need to get a griddle, flat top? How do I counter what's coming? Forecast. When you know that there tough times are coming, how do you forecast that? Do you forecast it by buying dry goods, beans, rice, making sure that you stock up on stuff? You know it's gonna snow. Do you make sure you go to the grocery store, get the stuff you need, bread, eggs, milk, all this stuff? Forecast. Budget. Knowing where your money is going before you get it, like where your money's going. Here, here, here. And we got this much left over. A budget. Knowing what you can and can't do based on your budget. Like ask yourself, what kind of budget do I need to live in a new house and still function properly? Or live in a nice apartment and still afford to get furniture and things of that nature? What's the budget on that? We're gonna talk about that. The discipline. What does discipline look like? How do you get around getting yourself to be disciplined? Because that's the hardest thing when you're going from a teenager to being an adult is the discipline. Even though you're free, you still have to be disciplined at the same time. And if you don't have the discipline, freedom will overwhelm you because you feel like you can do everything, but you don't realize you don't have the foresight and the forecast. It's gonna cost you. And need versus want. This is one of the things going into being an adult. Understanding what you do, you need it or do you want it? Something that you need versus something that you want. Do you need Nike socks or can you go to Walmart and buy socks? Tube socks. Do you need Jordans or can you buy something that's more affordable? Or do you just want the Jordans? Need versus want, very important. So let's talk about this. The annual breakdown of the average salary in Pulaski County. I'm not trying to step on nobody's toes. I'm not trying to bash nobody. I am simply trying to show our youth and our kids what this looks like. Because when you graduate, that's why it's important to make a strategy in developing something because you want to get to a point of stability as efficient as you can. $30,000 average salary of a average household in Pulaski County. Monthly pay $2,556. Bi-weekly pay every 2 weeks, 26 paychecks a year, $1,179.69. Ask any adult you know, is that enough every 2 weeks to live on? As an adult, a functioning adult with a house, car, bills, and food, clothes, is that enough? Is 1,100 every 2 weeks enough? This ain't even including insurance that come out of your check, taxes, maybe taxes, but not insurance and stuff like that. Health, dental, and vision. It may be even less than that. I'm just trying to show you how this works when you become an adult. When you just want to go work a job and don't want to develop yourself, this is what it looked like. It says weekly, you're looking at 589, but every 2 weeks, that's what most people get paid every 2 weeks or bi-monthly, and this is what you're looking at. Hourly pay based on a standard 40-hour a week work week, approximately $14.75 per hour. A lot of times when you're young, that seems like a lot of money. When you're 19, 18, 19, it seems like a lot of money, but I'm telling you, ask any adult. And we're going to look into the budget now, right? So let's look at the average basic bill cost for an adult. Yeah, let me know in the comments. Is it up or down? Is it close? This is the average when I looked up online lately. The average light bill, $138. Average gas bill, $80. Average water bill, $60. The average rent or mortgage, rent $995, mortgage $1,701. I'm telling you, just by the rent and the utilities, you already passed 1,100. Let's go back up. You already passed $1,179. You already passed it. Phone, the average phone bill, cell phone bill, $141. Average internet bill, $80. Total, $1,494. And every 2 weeks, you bring home $1,179. You may say, oh, man, that's cool. I can manage that. Let's talk about it. So let's take the bi-weekly of $30,672, according to what's the average in Pulaski County, to pay all your bills at once, which you can't do because you don't physically have all the money. If your total bills is $1,494 and your paycheck is $1,179, you'll be down. You'll be in the hole $315. Remember, this is average bills, average pay. Now, total, if you split it up, if you pay your bills, some in the beginning of the month, some at the end of the month, you split that up, you're looking at $747 every 2 weeks that you're paying the bills, right? So if you do that, if you pay half of the bills at the beginning, half of the bills at the end, out of that paycheck, and you're paying $747, you're gonna have $432 left over. This is what's called living check to check. When you pay your bills, you got $432 left over until the next check, and then you pay the other bills, and you got $432 left over. This is what you call living check to check. I can say, as a semi-functioning adult, that is not enough. Thank you, Atomic Player. It's definitely not enough. So, living check to check. What does that look like? Pay your bills. You got $432 left over. If you have a car, we're gonna talk about that. Gas. Matter of fact, I think it's on the next slide. Let's talk about that. You gotta do grocery shopping. Let's look. So let's look at the average bill cost for an adult. Let me know if it's more to this. And I'm pretty sure you can add more to this, but this is just being conservative as you can. And it's still expensive. Lights, 138, gas, 80, water, 60, rent or mortgage, $995 or $1,701. Average phone bill, $141, internet, $80, total $1,494. Let's say you want a car. Average car note, $815. Groceries, that's if you're being conservative, $200. Average insurance in Pulaski County, $206. Average medical insurance, $400. Gas for your car, the average, $120. Leisure, $80. Total, $1,821. So that's $1,400 in bills, $1,800 in secondary. Now, can you offset some of this? Maybe. If you get a cash car, you don't have a car note, but then you still have to think about maintenance. Then you even if you take the car away, that's still $1,000. Just taking the 800 off, that's still like $1,000, like 900, 980, $1,000, something like that. So when you add both of those up, we're looking at the average total budget that an adult has to work to afford to live. It's called the lifestyle. $1,821 for the rent and utilities, the basic bills, $1,400 just for the secondary bills. You're looking at $3,315. Ask any adult how much it costs total a month for them to live the lifestyle that they live. Ask them. Don't learn while you're young to understand these things. Things cost when you become an adult. A lot of times when you live with your parents, you don't really know what it truly costs because you're not paying for it. But when you become an adult and you become on your own, if you can do it, you're looking at $3,000. Even if you cut some of the stuff out, it's still gonna be around 2,500 a month. Because let's be honest, how many young people you see riding public transit? Not that many. How many you see without a cell phone? Not that many. Everybody got a cell phone now. Ask any adult. I promise you. Ask any adult. How much does it cost to live month to month? That's being conservative. $3,000. That's being conservative. Imagine how much a new house costs now. That was the average, and this probably was like a year ago. Imagine how much a new house costs now with interest and stuff. Imagine that. So spending habits. This is the all America spending habits. Just the average person. You spend 33% on housing. Think about when you own a house, it's more than just paying the mortgage, and it's more than just the utility bills, maintenance. Hot water heater may break. Boom. You got to pay for that. Other little maintenance stuff you have to think about. You know, light switch, you got to get that replaced. And if you don't have that kind of money, you have to be a DIY, do it yourself kind of person, but you still got to go buy it at Home Depot. Food, 13%. You got to eat. Do you know how to grocery shop on a budget? Do you cook your own food or do you just buy stuff just to get you by or the junk food, but you don't cook actual eggs? You don't cook actual food because you go out to eat all the time. That could go up. That could be easily 15 to 16%. Easy. Transportation, 17%. It's not just a car. You got to get gas, depending on what kind of car you got, or you got a truck SUV. We rented a truck, a Yukon, I think, to go out of town, and just a quarter of a tank, it cost $40. It was at 3/4 of a tank, filled it back up to take it back to the rental place, and it was $40. So that means probably to fill it up, you're looking at almost $200 somewhere in there, $150 to $200 to fill up. That's SUV. Most cars, you're probably looking at, depending on what kind of gas you get. If you're using premium gas, you're probably looking at about 50, 60. Mid-grade, you're probably looking at 45, 50. And regular gas, you're probably looking at about 35, 40, no more than 45. This depends on what kind of car you drive. But that takes up a lot of your, eats up a lot of your free money after you pay your bills. Is gas. You have to think about where you're going. Like, how far is your job from your house? How far is the grocery store from your house? You have to think about these things. Is there a Dollar General by your house to get the stuff that you can't get from Walmart, or you don't want to drive out there far because of the gas? You got to think about this kind of stuff. When you become an adult and you're not making that kind of money yet, you have to think about your trips. You got to think about what you eat, what you grocery shop for. You have to multitask think. It's not just one thing you're thinking about as an adult. That's what kind of killed me about like social media and stuff or YouTube. They be saying you got a niche down. Life is not niche, it's nuance. It's all you got to think about all these things: housing, transportation, food, insurance, healthcare, entertainment, cash contributions, apparel and services, all other expenditures. I want to show you something. How, if you are making the average salary and you paying your bills, being a good citizen, pay your bills, you got $432 left over. Ask any adult this: how in the world can you save when you only got $432 left until your next check comes? Ask yourself that. Ask any adult that. How do you do it? Most people say, well, you can save the 30, but guess what? You try to save the 30 and then something happened, a tire blowout. Now you thinking like, I just put the 30 in and now I got to get it out to get another tire. And you can't even get a tire for $30 now. Not even a used tire. So think about that. So the next one is cost of owning a house. The cost of owning a house, the down payment. If you're making the average salary, do you have the down payment to buy a house? They have programs out there, but then you got to make time for that. Do you have time to cut from your job to go to these programs in order to get the down payment for a house? Property taxes. Even if you think you can buy a house cash, which most people don't, when you buy a house and you pay it off, guess what? You still owe taxes on that house. Whether you like it or not, whether you agree with it, you still owe taxes on the house. And for people that got aspirations to live in the heights, nothing wrong with that. But imagine this: if you live in Southwest, the average taxes I probably would bet like it's probably $1,200 a year, maybe something like that, maybe $1,500 a year. This is after you pay the house off. you got to pay $1,500 a year for your real estate taxes. Imagine going on the other side of town, anywhere across University. When you cross over Markham, the taxes on a house could be $10,000 a year, $5,000 a year. So I want you to think about that. When you hear people talking about they want to invest in real estate or they own rent houses, right? Even if you own three, let's say three rent houses, and you pay cash for them, and you own them outright, you got the deed to them. I'm gonna make it easy. Let's say the property taxes are $1,000 a house, and you got three houses. You got to pay $3,000 a year, whether somebody's in that house or not. You got to pay $3,000 a year on real estate taxes, plus wherever you live too. So people out here talking about they want to start a business of flipping houses and stuff. Don't fall for that stuff on social media. It costs money to do that. It's not easy. You can do it, but you have to be strategic and understand the cost of owning a house. Utilities. Utilities never stop unless you turn them off. But if you live in a house, lights, water, gas, some houses all electric, it's just lights and water, or electric and water. But you're gonna have utility bills. Unless you live off the grid, which most people don't do that. That's only a 5%. Maybe not, probably not even that much. Closing costs. Once again, if you're making the average salary, that could be pressing to have the closing costs to close a real estate deal. Most of the time, the person who's selling the house pays the closing costs most of the time, but that's starting to change. A lot of people being so stingy now with their money. So insurance. Oh my God. Uh, Homeowners insurance is crazy. That is most of your mortgage. If you own a house, insurance, taxes, and interest. And then the principal is what you're paying down. And guess what? When you own a house, to all my young people out there, when you want to own a house, there is a commitment that you got to think about. That's why it's best to get a career, because career jobs typically last longer than just working regular jobs. And you have a higher percentage to stay committed to a 30-year mortgage. You don't want to be working an entry level retail job what is volatile, and you could lose your job over anything or get laid off, and then you still have to try to make this mortgage. That's why it's best to develop yourself and get into a career before you try to get into home ownership, in my opinion. Because when you get into a career, even if something happened, because you have experience in that field, it's a little bit easier to transition between jobs instead of just starting at entry level trying to do these things. Once again, I'm just giving you insight from a man that's 42, that's been through his 20s. I'm trying to give back. If I can make it easy for another young person out there, that's my thing, is to give you insight so you can make better decisions than I did based on information that you're either getting from this or you can learn from ask another adult around you. Hey, I heard Mike talking about this. What you think? The maintenance of owning a home, the yard work, cleaning out the gutters if you have them, all kind of stuff like that. Maintenance, light bulbs cost money. They're gonna go out. Toilet tissue, you got to get toilet tissue. Um, Sometimes the toilet leak. You got to get some kind of fittings. You got to buy that. And you might have to do it yourself. Unless you want to pay a plumber $60 an hour and he come in there and take his time, take him 3 hours just to replace something. Maintenance, some kind of woodwork, cabinet door mess. You got to fix that. Microwave want to act crazy. Now you got to get another mic. It's when you own a house, it's so much stuff that people don't talk about when you own a house. I could do a whole episode on owning the house year to year, what that looks like. Even if you get a new house, it can still be problems because they don't build houses like they used to. It gotta seem weird that they could build a house in probably like 6 months now. It used to take them almost a year and a half to build a house back in the day. Now they just throwing them up. As soon as you blink, the house is built, the subdivision is built. And that comes with maintenance down the line. You may can go maybe 3 or 4 years, but some people do that. Then they try to get another house, but maintenance is something that you cannot avoid, whether you have a car or a house. We'll talk about the car too. The real cost of owning a vehicle, whether it's a cash car, whether it's a new car or a used car. Owning a car, even though it's a depreciating asset, is going to require maintenance. You got to change the oil. You have to make sure you check the coolant and keep watch on it while you're driving it. You have to make sure that most cars, newer cars, have uh, the tire pressure built into the car. It tells you if the tire low. But 5 or 10 years ago, that wasn't a thing. You had to actually look at your tires and make sure they wasn't flat before you drive the car. You have to inspect it. New tire right now, 100, I think 100 and maybe 140 or something like that for a new tire right now. And that's the low end. That's a deal. But if you go to these upper end tire places or name brand franchise places, you can be looking at like $200 a tire. So think about if you got to get a whole set of new tires, that's $800. And remember, if you have the average salary and you only have $400 left over after paying your bills, if you pay half and half, how are you gonna get a new set of tires and you only got 400 and something dollars left after you pay your bills? Because another thing you gotta think about, if you don't pay your bills, you can do extensions, but it stacks on top of the bill of the next month. So you don't want to get behind on your bills because it's like you're playing catch up, but you don't have enough to catch up with. When you're making that kind of money, you have to be, in my opinion, you got to be judicious about your bills and stay current, because if you fall behind, it gets so tough when you fall behind. You start feeling the pinch of things happening. So, maintenance, finding a good mechanic for your car. Maintenance, all day to go out. That could be 200 some dollars to replace that. Oil change. Talked to my boy the other day. We was on the block. He said an oil change cost him $100. An oil change used to be $40 at one time. It's $100 now, and it's only gonna go up. Headlight could cost you either a bulb or a whole headlight. We already talked about gas. Insurance, you got to pay car insurance. That could be every month. Then if you got a car note, that's every month, eating your money up. Guys, I'm telling you, to be an adult, it costs. If freedom costs, it's not as free as you think it is. It's like you go into freedom, but you got to pay to be free. That sounds crazy, but that's the adult life. It costs to be an adult. Ask your parents, how much does it cost to live monthly? I'm telling you, $3,000 is probably very conservative, and not a lot of people can do that. because now you have a lot of people trying to keep up with the Joneses. And I want you to think about this. When you're riding down the street and you see anybody in those new GMC trucks, a new GMC truck costs as much as a house. $100 and some $1,000 for a truck. I'm not knocking that. I'm just getting you to realize, like, you be thinking when I turn 18, I'm gonna get one of those trucks. If you don't have a budget for that, that's out of your budget. You can't afford that and a house at the same time. It's just not obtainable. It's not. If you want to live independent on your own without borrowing money and putting yourself in debt, you're not gonna be able to get some things right off the bat. And you have to understand that I'm not at a point where I can afford that and be comfortable. So fuel gonna eat up some of that money, free money. Maintenance depends on what kind of car you get. Some cars are really, really reliable. Some are not. It just depends on what you're comfortable with. Tires, you got to be careful about what kind of tires you get. Usually, the cheaper tires that the tread don't last a long time, and you have to probably get tires every 2 years, something like that. And like I say, new tires now at least $140, and that's at a place where you get it for a deal, not the franchise tire places, but the tire places that you know where to go to get them for a deal. If you go to like those tire and brake places, those franchise places, they're gonna charge you for tires, warranties, and all that. You'll be looking at almost $250 a tire, and now you're looking at $1,000 for a set of tires. I'm talking about regular car tires, not the 20s, not the 24s. We talking about regular 16, 18-inch car tires, something like that. Learning how to be creative and underspend when it comes to spending habits. Underspend. Can you live below your means? Let's talk about that. Can you live below your means? It's tough when you only got $400. I've been there before. When you only got $400 left over and you got to make that last 2 weeks, you got to be very creative in your thinking. When I was younger, I remember this. Roommate. It was three of us. We used to have a George Foreman grill. Use that thing religiously. George Foreman grill. I think I was oat milk because I couldn't drink milk, lactose milk. Cereal. Those little Tyson chicken patties. Foreman grill. And what was that juice we used to drink? Tampico. Tampico juice. Tampico. Tampico juice. That's when you by yourself. When you single, you can kind of get the bare minimum and kind of get through. But when you have a family, though, that's why it's if you can avoid it, wait until you get married to have kids because the cost becomes even greater and the pressure you feel it even more because you got mouths to feed. Kids didn't ask to be here, but they have to be taken care of, and they cost money. Kids cost money. Just bottom line, they cost money. So these are the things we want to bring awareness to prepare a youth to become an adult. I hope that this was a help to somebody. I hope that a young person come back and watch this later. Ask your parents, how much does it cost to live month to month? How do you save money when you go grocery shopping? How do you save money with maintenance on a car? How do you take care of a car? Being able to learn how to preserve a car and take care of a car very important. Preventative maintenance. It costs, but it's better to do it ahead of time than wait until something breaks down. Oil change. You want to do oil change probably at least every 3 months if you can, every 3 months. Check your tires, rotate your tires every so often, every 1,500 miles. It's something like that. It's a number out there. You can look it up. Making sure the coolant is good, especially in the summertime. All those kind of things, you have to keep those things in your lexicon of thinking. Life is not a one track way of thinking. You have to, as a man, you have to think about all kind of things. We ain't even talking about taxes, renewing your tags every year, making sure you assess, along with thinking about the bills. It's so much stuff that you have to remember as an adult or write it down so you know to do it. And it only grows. It never stops. The list only gets bigger as you grow, um, as you get older, as you take on more. You become a family guy. Being an adult, cost of adult living. Let me know what you think. Thanks for watching. Like, share, subscribe. We are available on all platforms. Help us grow on YouTube. Go to our YouTube page, CTM TV LR on YouTube. Like, share, and subscribe. Let us know in the comments anything you'd like to hear us talk about. Our main goal is to give insight to anybody that wants to hear it about development, about thinking positively, being efficient, self-development, and anything else in between that. Thinking Game Podcast. We just did one yesterday. Go check that out. I'm doing this, the cost of adult living, school. I'm about to be done with school, so I'm gonna be making more and more kinds of content around this. If anybody would like to have me come talk to your kids about this, school classes about this, let me know. Definitely up for that. So with that being said, thanks for watching. Thank you for tuning in. I will catch you on another episode or another piece of content sometime this week. I'm not sure of the day because I'm working, but definitely be on the lookout because I'll pop in and out. You never know when. And I will catch you on the next CTM TV production. I'm out.